pride, pirate passion, pirate perspective. Nobody does it better.
Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Here comes the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics from guys who bleed purple and gold just like you.
All hands on deck!
Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook at 943thegame.com and on the IBX Media app. Here's Stephen Igo.
It's a new week. We are 19 days away from kickoff. ECU at Alabama. Welcome in on this Monday program, August 17th edition of the show. The chat is open on YouTube, Facebook, and X. The X machine just dropped a new live streaming studio, so I had to figure that out. But we should be live. We should be all good there as well. I'll be monitoring that throughout the program over the course of the next hour. Excited about the week ahead. Of course, we'll dive more into East Carolina football. The Pirates just had their first scrimmage of the preseason inside Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium over the weekend. We'll give you the latest on the quarterback competition, what stood out on that front. We got to see a little bit of it, maybe not as much as we would have liked, but to get some news, some intel from some sources who are on hand as well. So we'll share some of that. We'll share some thoughts on Blake Harrell's post-practice conversations as well. Big news coming out of that, the 2022 class, the returns of former Pirate student-athletes J.D. Lampley, Sam Danka, Marlon Gunn in motion. We'll tell you more about that, too. In segment 2, we've got our next preview of an FBS conference. We're doing the ACC today. 17 teams will make our picks. We did the American on Friday, told you why ECU. Maybe it's their year to win the American. Can anybody take down Miami in the ACC? Doesn't look like it on paper. We'll get to that discussion, segments 3 and 4, because we're 19 days away from ECU football, which puts us 12 days away from week 0 football. Philip Pilkington. He is producing today, Philip, and we got a lot of conferences to get to because we were both doing some pre-show work. 8 of the 10 leagues are in action week 0?
7.
7 of the 10 leagues. So we've got a lot of work to do before next Friday. We might as well go ahead and knock them all out.
We might as well, but here's the thing. I'm glad that we were able to figure out which ones don't, because is it going to be next Tuesday that John Gilbert's coming on? Or is it the following Tuesday?
That is next Tuesday. So
yeah, so we won't
day.
have that day, all that. So it's good that we at least were smart enough to preemptively look at which conferences we can postpone until the following week. So at least we've got that. So we got a couple days of fluctuation there built in, but yeah, it'd be nice just to get them all done.
If you got a comment or question, drop in the chat. We'll get to it over the course of the next hour and add to that discussion. If you got any hot ACC takes, drop them now, and we'll get to those later on. All right, scrimmage 1. Overall thoughts, we'll dive into some specifics here in a little bit. So, again, we didn't get to see a ton live. We got to see a lot of turnovers late. What I did notice was a lot of tired gentlemen. One thing I want to keep in mind before we really start to break this thing down, Blake Harrell said earlier this week, this is the week, arguably the toughest week of the year for the team. And you're like, all right, it's mid-August. Why would that be the case? Well, they practiced 6 straight days. It's pretty much just as hot. It won't be any hotter than it was this past week, I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But temperatures in the mid-90s really throughout the week. You're going 6 straight days of practice, and on that 6th day is when the scrimmage or game prep is. So you think about it, Philip, you put your team through this sort of week now because you can't put them through it during a season. You can't go out there and practice full on for 5 days in a row or your team is going to be dead by game day. So I do think it is important. We saw some sloppy play with the end of the scrimmage, specifically with the backups. Backups was the main reason for that. But also, these guys are pretty worn out, tired. They're not really in game shape yet you're trying to put them through the toughest week of the season, the second week of camp. So I did want to preference that. Like, you're going to see some sloppy play at any scrimmage because this is arguably the toughest week of camp everywhere.
Yeah, you are. And look, I think they were mentally and physically exhausted. I think some of the sloppiness was they were tired, and I think some of the sloppiness was they were mentally they'd been through it, man. And it's the reason that, look, I mean, we can say this, I think, publicly, because he was even asked about in the press conference. Like, there was a little extra conditioning at the end, conditioning that I think was not originally on the script, or maybe that much of it wasn't on the script. And there was one time where they finally were told, hey, if you do it full speed this time, you're done. And we've all been told that. We remember those days.
Sounded like me talking to my 5-year-old.
Yeah. Now, however, to be honest, I don't think they were quite going full speed even on that last rep. However, they might have just been so damn tired that was the fastest they could go. So there was some fatigues. Those legs were feeling heavy. You could just tell it, man, on the sidelines hanging out during the scrimmage. Like, we were on the offensive side, but especially some of them big boys, they just the way their mannerisms, they were standing there, they just looked beaten, like they'd been hit by a damn truck, honestly.
So that was, I would say, definitely, I don't even want to say that was one of the bad. I was going to go good, bad, and ugly. I don't even want to say it's bad or ugly. I just think that's part of preseason football. You're getting your team in shape. We'll start with the good. I thought the running game, we saw a little bit of it. We saw TJ Engelman score in a red zone drill. We also heard that there were a lot of big runs. Ashton Gray had several big runs. Michael Allen had a big run. TJ Engelman, I heard DeJuan Lacey look pretty good. I think the good here is the first team offensive line, the running game is going to be better than maybe I initially thought. Now, one thing I do want to mention, Preston Carr, Josiah Robinson were not practicing as a precaution, so you had two of your better defensive linemen out that could play a role. But I thought the running game looked good. It sounds like the first team quarterbacks, Emory Williams and Mitch Griffiths, did pretty good just operating, handling the offense, not taking negative plays, with the exception of, as Blake Harrell pointed out, which we'll hear in a little bit, Emory took a sack in a situation he didn't need to, and Mitch Griffiths, while trying to throw the ball away, turned the ball over. So good there. Defense seemed to really do a solid job. First team defense outside of maybe some running discipline as far as keeping their lanes and whatnot. The backup defense on the good side created a ton of turnovers. We saw like 5 picks in 30 minutes, I think is what you said, Philip, pre-show. And then obviously the ugly or the bad of that is the offense, the backup offense, and the quarterbacks, not Emory and Mitch, turn the ball over way too much. So good news is there, your backup defensive players showing some ability and to really take away ability to create havoc, ability to make plays. We saw Teron Spencer, a freshman defensive end, jump up from his pass rushing position and snag an interception. That was a heck of a play. We saw D.C. Coleman, the freshman safety, intercept Trey Burke back-to-back series in a red zone drill. So it's good and bad, man. That's always the toughest part of being a head coach, I feel like, even though Blake Harrell is a defensive guy, Philip, is that when you see sloppy play like that, you want to see your defense creating the turnovers, but maybe not quite at that rate. But the good news is it wasn't the first team offense just out there giving the football away. Yeah,
that's true. And that's why it would be nice in a way to play a true preseason game, right? So you can pull for your offense and pull for your defense and hope they're both successful, because when they're playing each other, like I said, one man's trash really is another man's treasure, and we want everybody to be having treasure when it's your team. So, the good thing, too, I think a couple of them were takeaways. They weren't giveaways. Now, I did early when I first got there see a fumble that I thought was a little bit more of a giveaway. And I'm sure some of the turnovers, throughout practice, we didn't see it all. There were some giveaways. But, sometimes the defense is just going to jump up and make a heck of a play. And, you got to tip your cap to them. So, again, it was a little sloppy. But, again, 6 straight days. And also we were there at the end. I mean, it was 2 hours and it was freaking hot out there. It was humid out there. I will say, shout out to Alex Marlowe, that the grass was in the field was in phenomenal mid-season form, but the weather was in a dead heat of summer form, I can tell you that.
No doubt. It was pretty draining out there for us in a short amount of time. All right, everybody wants to know about the quarterbacks. I wrote about this, hoistthecolors.net. Check it out in our VIP subscription, 60% off special we're running now. But we'll hit on a little bit here as well, because we talked to Blake Harrell after practice, and I think they both had good days. Mitch Griffiths, Emory Williams. The vibe I got from talking with people after the scrimmage, around the program, within the program, however you want to phrase it, is Mitch Griffiths had a slightly better day for this scrimmage. It's not to say he's had the better overall preseason. Again, this was practice 10. I do think the scrimmages have to be the most highly scrutinized, most important grade of any preseason practice, so it probably weighs more. It doesn't mean Mitch Griffis is going to win the job because he performed slightly better at one scrimmage, but just to give you some context there, he led a really long touchdown drive with the first team and provide maybe another layer of context. You know, how the players execute around the quarterback matters too. For example, we saw a red zone series with Emory and Mitch. On Emory's series, he handed the ball off 4 straight times. The offense didn't score. The next series, Mitch was in with the first team. They threw a screen pass for no gain, and then they ran a running play that T.J. Engelman scored on second and goal. So that counts as a Mitch Griffis touchdown in the red zone series when really, you know, what was the difference was maybe the execution of players around him. So just to give some context there, it's not all on the quarterback all the time. Regardless, it sounded like Mitch maybe had a slightly better day. Let's hear from Blake Harrell. Philip, we got that cut ready to go after practice. He was asked about the see after the scrimmage.
Some good things. You know, I think they're starting to get where they need to be. I'm excited about both of them. I think we can start to get a little separation there between them. I think they're moving in the right direction. I'd like to see them, you know, not take some negative plays. I thought Emory took a sack today. I wish he just threw the ball away and reset the chains there. And then Mitch at one time tried to throw it away, didn't throw it away far enough, and the defense picked it off. So those 2 plays, we just got don't turn a bad play into a worse play. Don't turn a snowflake into an avalanche. So it's okay for an incomplete pass, gain of 0. We'll survive with that and we'll figure it out. So those are things, though, that you got to get out here and play the game. You can't, talk about that enough in the film room and it correlate. You got to get out here and experience it. So I thought we made a move in the right direction there, Dave.
Blake, on the quarterback performance, he said we're maybe starting to get a little separation there. Did you take away anything, Philip? How much of that is, like, at this point you kind of have to – if you got to kind of create some separation for the coaching staff because you can't just keep rotating like we've seen up until the season opener. At some point you got to give one guy more time with the ones than the other.
Yeah, that's a tough spot to be in, right? Whether or not they're actually creating the separation or you just kind of have to. Look, there's got to be something, though, right? Like, it's – like he said in his first press conference, this is like the 4th quarter of the offseason. There's been a lot of time. These guys have been here since January. There's something. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's pre-snap. I don't know if it's putting balls in tight windows. Somebody is going to be better than the other guy. It's something. How finite of a little item that is, who knows? But you'd think it's something. But, man, look, I don't envy these coaches. They got a tough job, especially with these 2.
We also heard from Blake Harrell. He talked about how these 2 gentlemen are supporting each other, handling the competition. Much different from my perspective than the Jake Garcia-Caton Hauser competition a few years ago. We'll hit on that. But let's hear this cut from Blake talking about Emory Williams and Mitch Griffis.
They're awesome. Like, this thing would be a lot easier. And I thought about this last night because I knew I was going to get asked these questions. Like, this thing would be a lot easier if one of them didn't have a great attitude, if one of them didn't understand the offense, one of them wasn't very good. This thing would be a lot easier to figure it out and just say, hey, this is going to be our guy. This is who we're rolling with. But they both pull for each other. They both support each other. I see them both bring younger guys along, mentoring those guys, and continue to push the offense in the right way. I think they understand, like, either who's out there, if they can take the ball down the field and score, that's going to help us win games, and that's the most important thing.
All right, there's Blake Harrell. And again, I think Mitch and Emory are very different, but everything I've seen behind the scenes at practice, everything I've heard leads me to believe they are very supportive of one another. And not to air out some dirty laundry, but I think we've talked about this before, Philip, but like Caton Hauser and Jake Garcia were not big fans of one another. And you could just kind of get that vibe throughout the entire competition. I just feel like this dynamic is much better. And I don't know how it's going to play out on the field. I still think we probably see them both play at Alabama in some capacity. I do think this coming week will ultimately decide maybe who trots out with the first team offense as QB1. But I do think the talent of each is similar to what Garcia and Hauser brought to the table, but maybe the relationship is much better.
Yeah, which is just better for the team, right, as a whole. Because somebody's going to win this job, And the guy who doesn't win, rightfully so, is going to be a little upset. He's going to be disappointed. But you almost wonder with Garcia and Hauser, were they even really pulling for each other once the ball got rolled out there? I don't know. I think these two will. I think they'll still want to see the other guy succeed. I mean, deep down, you're like, man, maybe something will happen and I'll get a chance to go out there and really show out. But I think overall, these guys are team players. They know it's about the betterment of the team. And like I said, I think there's just a lot more respect. And I guess it just comes down to personality or maturity or I don't know. I've got my opinions on the Garcia Hauser thing. And I thought one guy was more mature maybe than the other. I think maybe one of the guys, in my opinion, was the reason that they weren't really pulling for each other.
So it created very interesting dynamics for sure. And, ended up working out with Hauser taking and running with the job, but maybe could have been a little cleaner behind the scenes. Regardless, we'll see how this one plays out. We'll continue to have the latest. There's some scrimmage one takeaways. Again, check us out, hoistedcolors.net. I did want to share this before we get a break in. Hoist the Colors on 24/7 Sports. Got these numbers this morning. We're amongst the top selling sites of subscriptions through the middle of August. Hoist the Colors, our ECU fan base. I got to brag on you guys for a second. I've shared this on our message boards. We have sold more subscriptions than the following websites, team sites on 24/7 Sports: Texas, West Virginia, Pittsburgh, Virginia Tech, Oklahoma, UCLA, Minnesota. We're in the same tier as LSU, Florida, Florida State, Penn State. So I just want to give a shout-out to the fans because without you guys, we wouldn't be able to have that sort of success. And it goes to show that you can have a Power 4 conference, Power 4 schedule, whatever. ECU fans still show up. They put their money where their mouth is. So appreciate everybody, their support. If you want to join the VIP content, check it out, hoistedcolors.net. 60% off special through preseason camp. That'll take you through the next 365 days. All right, we got to get
Steven, I do want to say one thing. Credit to you, though. I mean, if you weren't writing and putting out good content, you wouldn't have all these people subscribing. So you need to take a bow as well because you are a one-man operation. Yes, you've had some really good interns, but a lot of those ones you mentioned, some of them have two writers, and you're a one-man show, and you created this from scratch. So you got to take a bow as well.
Appreciate that, man. Means a lot. And we try to keep the content rolling, but the fans, without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So I really appreciate everybody for their support. And let's keep on doing it. Let's keep making the family bigger, and we'll keep on having a lot of good shows up here as well. All right, we'll get a break in. We'll come back. Latest on the 2022 recruiting class. And those guys, J.D. Lampley, Marlon Gunn, Sam Danka, on their way back to ECU. We'll tell you what that means after this.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance. And when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arg!
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Grimes Built Construction is currently building homes in Pitt and Beaufort County, and they're always looking for land to start new neighborhoods. Grimes Built Construction is a custom home builder, but also builds beautiful spec homes in all price ranges. These aren't cookie-cutter homes. A Grimes-built home has great design, character, and the extra detail you desire.
This is Chad Grimes with Grimes Built Construction. If you're in the market for a new home, or if you have land for sale, give me a call, 252-717-1418.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
This is a standard hole belt. You can get it at any fashion brand, department store, or Amazon. They can be nice, look good, even sometimes expensive. The downside, they're only limited to 5 holes. Not to mention these holes wear out in less than a year. So this is an Anson belt, micro-adjustable holeless belt. Instead of 5 holes 1 inch apart, we have 30 plus options spaced 1/4 inch apart, giving you the perfect fit every time. This track system uses a magnetic mechanism that won't break like a spring-loaded mechanism will over time. Slide your belt through, click, click, click. That's the sound of a perfect fit. Check us out at AnsonBelt.com.
Pirates play here.
Time to play the game.
This is Hoist the Colors with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Segment 2, we are back and rolling on this Monday. New week, 19 days out from kickoff. The AP poll just dropped, preseason top 25. Alabama is preseason unlucky number 13, just asking to be beaten in that season opener. So they're 11th in the coaches poll, 13th in the Associated Press poll. No group of 5 teams, group of 6 teams ranked, to no surprise. As Brett McMurphy points out, every year for the past 23 seasons except 2019, there has been at least one preseason top 10 team that finished the year unranked. So that will likely happen again in 2026, especially in this era of college athletics. All right, we'll get more into that maybe during our ACC preview, the second half of the show. I did want to hit, before we get to the 2022 class, this was my mistake, and thank you, Jay and C. Hobbs in the chat. Any news on the field goal kicking? The title of today's show, what stood out most at ECU's first preseason scrimmage? I don't know about you, Philip, but what stood out most to me was that the kickers at the end of practice, Andrew Conrad, Noah Perez, Everett Scott, made every single kick. Not a single missed kick. And we're not talking extra points. We're talking probably 40-plus, different hash, middle of the field. Like, that was highly encouraging.
Yeah, that's going to be earned. I will say that play, we talk about playing time is earned, is not given. I think sometimes the college kickers, it's given to the guy who's less crappy. It's going to be tough. But I tell you miss one in a game, you might lose your job, which is going to be tough. And that sometimes can be a little worrisome too. It's like, man, are they so nervous about losing their job from one missed kick that they psych themselves out and miss the kick?
Yeah, it's interesting. And even though those guys have all had ups and downs over the years, missed kicks, I feel good that they've all kicked in some big moments, especially Conrad and Perez. So encouraging news there for sure. All right. Davy Jones wants to talk conference expansion. I don't know if we'll have time for that today, Davy, but hang with us. I'm sure at some point we will, if not towards the end of the show. Kevin Cozart says, are they doing Meet the Pirates this year? I haven't heard anything about Meet the Pirates this year.
I haven't either, Kevin, and normally, I'm not saying there's not going to be any. It's the Saturday of Media Day, Saturday of the final scrimmage, which that is this Saturday. So if you haven't heard anything, I'm going to just guess no, but they could possibly do something next week as well, I guess.
During the spring, they had some players signing autographs for the spring game. Maybe that is the new Meet the Pirates. I don't know, but I think it is. You know, it is something that has kind of gone by the wayside as far as popularity over the last few years, and maybe it's something they need to look into either doing differently or bringing it back. But I have not heard any news on Meet the Pirates. I'll double-check with some sources. We'll have John on next Tuesday as well, and so we'll get an answer from the AD for that. All right, the 2022 class, the players were set to have their submission into the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals, and last Friday, I believe it was, or Saturday, and Monday, today, was when the NCAA was set to have its argument in again. So we, kind of make a long story short here, we're expecting to have some formal news in the coming days on will the 2022 class be officially eligible, as was the intention of the the court judge when she put the injunction through, and that's why everybody's bringing back the 2022 class players, but the NCAA is still fighting it. So should have official confirmation in the coming days, maybe by the end of the week. Worst case scenario, probably 2 weeks from now, but the general consensus is if the NCAA loses again here initially, they may just let it go. But the NCAA feels like they got a shot to win. Now, they haven't won in court a whole lot. You talk to the players' side, to more sources around the country, they feel like the players are going to win, so we'll see where this thing comes down. Either way, ECU has started to bring back J.D. Lampley, Sam Danka, and Marlon Gunn. All three were in town this weekend. They're going through physicals. Class started today. They're enrolled in class. They're getting all their measurements, physicals, doctor appointments done, and team gear, all that stuff. And I assume they're going to be like in meetings, maybe some walkthroughs. I was not at practice this morning. It was closed to the media. But I would assume they're going to at least be around the team. Don't know when exactly they're going to take the field. There will have to be an acclimation period. I think per NCAA rules, you got to have a few days without pads on. And these guys may get more than that since they've been out of action before throwing pads on and being allowed to hit. But they're working their way back, and now we are waiting to see if they are officially eligible. So a lot of hand-wringing last week, Philip, about, hey, why aren't these guys rejoining the team? Why aren't they practicing? We finally got an answer on that. Maybe it cost ECU a week of prep time with these young men. But either way, the school is moving forward. And now we await the official word. Now the biggest question becomes, if they are granted eligibility, when can they realistically help the Pirates? And that's a question that may be different for each individual.
Yeah, I think, though, so first off, they got to have X amount of practices and full pads before allowed to hit anybody else. Or, they can hit their own team, but there's still X amount of full padded practices you have to have before you're allowed to play in a game, too. So, for anybody who played high school, remember if you missed X amount of days, you couldn't play in the first scrimmage. That was a thing. It's a thing at the collegiate level too. So depending on when their days actually start, Stephen, they literally might not be able to play against Alabama. I don't remember exactly what those days are, which we were talking about earlier in the show, they're not going to be doing 6 days of practice, every week now. So when could they realistically help? I mean, we were talking about it during the break. You brought up a great point, especially the two defensive guys. You might just need them in the fourth quarter at Alabama because the poor guys who've been out there might just have gotten the hell beat out of them by grown men offensive linemen. So it would be nice if they're available there just to kind of give some guys some blows. But I think realistically, you're looking at the App game and maybe even the ODU game before they're really, App, they could probably rotate in, play a little bit, be effective. But for them to truthfully be in game shape and go out there and ready to play the snaps that they played a year ago, I'm thinking ODU.
Yeah, I mean, I think at best, and somebody asked me in the chat this morning, what is the best case scenario they play against Alabama? I put 10 to 15 snaps. Is that fair? I mean, that feels fair. Realistic to me.
Yeah.
If that, And maybe J.D. Lampley and Sam Danka roll in off the street or wherever they've been, and they're just ready to go. Danka he was in Denver Broncos rookie minicamp, and then he had been training for, I believe, is it the UFL now?
Yeah.
The spring leagues, I can't keep track of it. I think the UFL, something with that. So, he should be in shape, but again, staying in shape is different from going out there being calloused up from hitting and just the grind that is football. It just takes it takes a week like this past week to kind of get you into more so game shape. So I guess maybe you just go in if those guys are eligible for the opener and tell them to. I mean, they know the system because it's the same Blake Harrell defense, but for Lampley, just go in there and get after the passer on a few third downs from a defensive tackle position. For Danka, we know he can play inside linebacker, but we know he's perhaps best on the edge. Maybe you just let him rush the passer on third and long. So maybe you just have the Lampley Danka package on third and long.
Yeah.
I don't know. So
yeah, I mean, that's the easiest thing. You don't have to worry about keys and things like that if it's a heavy long down and distance situation. But also, Stephen, how many times do you think we're gonna have Alabama behind the sticks on third down? It sounds bad, but I'm just being honest. This ain't App.
That is a very fair point. Very fair point. So it's going to be a struggle regardless. And the one thing is, you'll need a lot of depth to get through that game because 11 a.m. Central start in Alabama. It's going to be hot on September 5th, I would assume. So even a few snaps just to spell some guys. But, yeah, it's such a fascinating story. And then as Blake mentioned too, like his job, like us in the media, we know these guys. There are certain members of the team that know these guys really well. And Blake probably knows that they can help them win games. But there is a balance because you don't want to like bring these three guys in and make it all about them either. Because like we're probably going to give them a lot of attention naturally. It's a major story. The fans know them well. So like striking that balance if you're the coach, that's probably one of the more delicate things here. And something that I feel like Blake's got a pretty good grasp on too.
Yeah, he does. Because look, there's the human side of this with the guys who've been here all summer, right? The guys who've been putting in the work, the guys who are here during the horrendous month that is January that, Joe has told us about so many times. I don't know if it's as much now that Coach Big John's gone, but still, it can be tough. So, there is that side of things. You can't upset those guys because you don't want to mess up your team chemistry and, you don't want to put guys in a tough spot. But also at the end of the day, this isn't tennis. This isn't golf. This isn't track. It is a team. And at the end of the day, you have one goal, and that is to win a national championship. And whoever is the guy who gives you the best chance to win a national championship is going to play. And if you're not that guy, you got to be at peace with that because we're here for team goals. And if you don't like the team goals, again, go play golf.
And one last thing before we get a break, and we didn't touch as much on Marlon. I do think as far as hurdles to see the field, Marlon Gunn would be maybe face the toughest climb because it's a new running back coach. It's a new offense. Yes, there are only so many run schemes, and we know he can pass pro. He's seen a lot, so I don't think the hurdle is too big to leap. But at the same time, you're only going to have one back on the field most snaps, and it's a pretty deep running back room, and it's a new offense. So I feel like as opposed to, hey, Lampley can play with three other D linemen, hey, Danke can play with two or three other linebackers. It's harder for him to just come in and see the field immediately. Not that he can't go out there on special teams and hit somebody, though.
Yeah, exactly. But, yeah, it's not like we're running split back wing T offense where you got all these tailbacks on the field, right? So, yeah, I mean, it is. And the two, you mentioned he can pass pro. He's really good at it. He's still got to know his keys. You know, who is his first guy to look at? And with it being different calls, it being a different offense, different quarterbacks, that he's not going to have any, report with, at least if it was a new offense and a new running backs coach and it was Kate and, Kate could be like, hey, man, it's the same as this play from last year. Well, guess what? He doesn't know these quarterbacks, so that's a lot of it too.
No doubt. Let's get a break in. We'll come back. We'll move on to our ACC preview, our conference preview. We got to make some picks, have some discussion on the ACC. Also got a question or two in the chat I'll answer as well. Segment 3 on the way. Hoist the colors after this.
The power of savings is yours at Greenville Toyota with powerful deals on our huge selection of new Toyotas, like a Camry, $229 a month, or the all-new RAV4, $279. Don't miss the power of savings at Greenville Toyota.
Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium rocking it. There's nothing like game days in Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium. Football is special here, and that's because of you. It takes all of us to have success. The 2026 season is right around the corner. Season tickets start as low as $75. Get yours today.
Your future is full of possibilities, and Pitt Community College can help you explore every option. You can earn a degree, learn a trade, transfer to a university, or launch a new career. We offer the support you need to succeed with flexible schedules, affordable tuition, and programs designed for the real world. Your path, your future, your college. Pitt Community College. Register now.
Need cash for a vacation? National Finance Company is here to help. For over 50 years, National Finance Company has been the small loan specialist with loans from $1,000 to $5,000 with low payments to meet your budget. We're in the business of getting you the cash you need today. Apply online for a loan at one of our convenient branch offices and get your money as fast as today. It's easy. Get the vacation cash you need. For extra cash, visit nfcmoney.com.
Visit Larry's Steakhouse for a tender, hand-cut certified Angus ribeye. Other entrees include perfectly seasoned pork chops, chicken or seafood favorites like shrimp, tuna, and salmon. Complement your meal with Larry's fresh 20-plus item salad bar, or enjoy it as an all-you-can-eat entree. Daily rotating favorites include meatloaf, chicken pastry, hamburger steak, spaghetti, pork chops, and more, all complemented with your favorite country sides. Whether it's for lunch, dinner, or our Sunday brunch, remember to support and eat local. Larry's Steakhouse.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
With new Toyota trucks from $259 a month, you've got the power of savings at Greenville Toyota. Drive Tacomas $259 a month or Tundras only $399 a month at Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves you money.
Get ready to board.
We're live with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Now, back to Hoist the Colors.
All right, welcome back in. Third segment here. We're about to start our ACC preview. I want to run through a few comments, questions in the chat. Davy Jones wants to talk a lot of conference expansion. Davy, we don't quite have the time today. We've talked about it a lot in the past, but table that discussion for a later date, and I promise we'll get to it. He wants to know about ECU potentially being the ACC one day. Not today. A lot would have to happen, but I understand the questions. Davey also wants to know, Alabama was criticized for its inability to run the ball last season. Will Alabama use our game to show they can run the ball? They've lost multiple backs this preseason due to injury. Their offensive line's a question mark. They have two inexperienced quarterbacks. I would assume they would come out trying to establish the run against ECU and try to prove they can run the ball. So that's definitely something I'll be watching early in the game. If ECU can stop the run, put them behind the chains, maybe we see some Lampley, some Danka, but that is a lot to ask for ECU. Even against a quote-unquote questionable Alabama O-line, they're still going to have some dudes up front. So that will be a big key to the game early on if ECU can hang in there for a little bit. Also, we did have Arg Hills reach out, said Walk-On Sports Bistro in Tuscaloosa reached back out this morning, wants to further discuss HTC doing the Friday 9-4 show live at their location. Appreciate you doing that, man. Secondly, I just realized that I'm not flying out until later in the Friday, so it would be kind of hard for me to do a live show if I'm not there. So I really appreciate the effort. I should have probably put 2 and 2 together a little bit sooner. So that's my bad.
Dang it, Steven.
I blew that one. That said, I mean, we probably logistically couldn't make a live show work pregame for Saturday. So
yeah, we'll have. You know, I'm just going to go ahead and I can disclose this because I mean we talked about it. So same lineup as next year or as last year for our pregame show. So Steven will be our analyst during the home games, and Joey Football for road games. So we're bringing Joey Football back. He had a hell of a rant the other day on PJ's show. So I miss having Joey Football on once a week.
I do too. He is he's a great time killer, and more importantly, he knows his stuff. He's entertaining to listen to. So send me that guy's information, Kyle. Maybe I'll just email him to see what's up, but I doubt I can make it work just due to the logistics of the travel. I'm also staying in Birmingham, so it wouldn't be the easiest. But I appreciate you doing that, man. I'm sorry about that. All right, the ACC. This league, man, I just laugh at it because, first off, it's 17 teams. Like, why do we have 17-team conferences? Why is Stanford and Cal in the ACC? What is the point of all this? And yes, I understand it's TV money, and they bring some academic value. But, man, the more I look at this, the bigger a joke it becomes. Boston College, what value do they bring to the ACC at this point? Some of these teams, it just feels like a giant waste of time. Either way, football in the ACC, we know Miami is the heavy, heavy favorite. Last year's champion, Phillips Duke Blue Devils. What bowl game did they end up playing in?
Oh, gosh. I don't even remember.
I mean, it was just an embarrassment that they won the league and then were shipped off to some random bowl game. They end up losing their quarterback, Darion Menza, to Miami. You can't even say illegally because nothing's illegal in college sports now, but it was
illegal.
It was definitely illegal, and it was crappy because Menza said he was coming back and then he left to go to a conference foe. So you have that storyline. I did read an article this morning that Miami, I believe, is the only team in the ACC spending over $40 million on their roster. Everybody else is in the $20 to $30 million range, so they are the heavy favorite because they spend the most and they're the most talented. Then you have this rung of SMU, Clemson, Louisville, all expected to compete. Mark Miller's Pittsburgh Panthers, kind of a dark horse team. Virginia Tech brings in James Franklin. NC State has some schedule luck this year. Really favorable schedule. Can Dave Doran finally do it, get them to a title game? Georgia Tech loses, obviously, Haynes King and their offensive coordinator who went to Florida, so we'll see how they respond to that. Florida State, no idea what to expect there with our guy Norvell in the hot seat. Duke, because they got hurt with the Menza thing, not a lot of people are expecting that. Carolina, Bill Belichick, who knows what's going to happen there.
Go Horned Frogs, baby.
Wake Forest, really good under Jake Dickert a year ago. Can they do that again? Cal has one of the best quarterbacks in the league. New head coach. Don't really know what to expect from them. Syracuse lost Steve Angeli to injury. They were 3-1, had just beaten Clemson. Then they lost 8 in a row to close the year. What's going to happen there? Stanford, shout out Marcus Monroe. He's there now. Don't think he'll play a lot this year, but he is on the roster for the Cardinal. And then Boston College is Boston College, Bill O'Brien. So there's your 17 teams quick rundown. Before we dive into some picks, Philip, does anything interest you in this league?
Yeah, how long before Mensa gets hurt? Do the Blue Devils have a bounty out on his head like they're the New Orleans Saints?
Yeah, I don't want to hate on like a college athlete, but at the same time, if you're making what? How much money is he making?
He signed a 2-year contract to make $2 million a year. He could be a college athlete, but he's a pro college athlete.
Yeah, that's more than fair. I'm having trouble here because like I can't root for Miami because it's Miami. I'm definitely not rooting for SMU because they just bought their way to the top. Clemson, I'm over the Dabo thing. Louisville, never will root for Louisville. Pittsburgh, I guess I'll root for Pittsburgh because Mark Miller, but they're definitely going to choke when it counts. Sorry, Mark. Not going to root for Virginia Tech after what happened in that series. Definitely not going to root for State or Carolina. I mean, I'm not going to root for Duke or Wake, so I don't know. I just want to see every team in this conference fail.
You got to go with Andrew Luck and be a fan of the Cardinal. He's the GM. They're picked to finish last, but hey.
I'm specifically just pulling for Marcus Monroe and the Stanford Cardinal.
There you go. Yeah, hey, you got a good friend of ours, his son plays on the team. I think that's a legit reason to pull for the team.
I'm all in on the Cardinal, and I'm ready to be hurt. They're going to be my West Coast team this year. How about that? Stanford Cardinal, my West Coast team this year when I need to stay up late.
ACC After Dark, baby, with Stephen Igo.
So we'll talk Stanford in a minute. All right, so let's dive into some of these picks. We'll get a break in a minute and do the rest. New coach worth watching. There's 3 in the league. James Franklin, Virginia Tech, Tosh Lupoy at Cal, and Tavita Pritchard at my Stanford Cardinal. I guess I got to go Tavita Pritchard. So I'm going to go with that. What about you, Philip?
James Franklin.
Yeah.
Is there a different story? We're going to find out. He's got a couple big games. Maybe that might be my game. Might feature James Franklin. Just a little preview.
Well, if there's one thing we know James Franklin can do, it's win the games he's supposed to win.
Yeah, but I might pick a game where he ain't supposed to win. Is that a Penn State problem or is it a James Franklin problem?
That's a fair point. Arg Hills in the chat says the good news is I have a good shot at seeing every team in the conference fail, and that is true. We basically saw that last year.
Yeah.
So outside of Miami making the run as a non-champion that they did. All right, best quarterback in the league. I mean, it's probably got to be Menza, right? He's probably the highest paid player in college football.
Yeah, it's probably Menza. Guy I'm really watching, though, in this one, because I just put a different name just because I don't want to go with, like, the same guys. People are going to hate me for saying this, but like CJ Bailey, his completion percentage last year was like 69%. And, he single-digit interceptions. He's a heck of an athlete. Like, he's going to be one of the guys to watch. I mean, he's a junior. He's going to be a 3-year starter at the same program, same head coach. I think that's going to be an interesting one to watch.
Saiga Patelli at Cal is getting some NFL buzz, so we'll see if you need to watch some ACC after dark. Check him out. Also, Kevin Jennings. SMU is pushing the Kevin Jennings for Heisman talk as much as they can. And I swear he's been there for like 8 years now. But either way, he is still there, and he is a good player. Most exciting non-quarterback in the ACC. I've got a couple of receivers on my list. Obvious, Malachi Toney from Miami. ECU gets Ray Joseph, who was his backup last year. He's a stud. What about you? Who do you got on your list?
I got Deuce Robinson on my list. This guy at Florida State had over 1,000 yards last year. He's not really shifty, but at 6'6", he can run by you. He averaged 19 yards, I think, a reception last year. He's big. He's physical. He can run the underneath stuff and stick his foot in the ground and get upfield as well as run by you. Like I said, not real shifty, so you won't see him catching the ball in the flats, but this guy's a projected day 2 pick in the NFL draft next year. I think he's going to be fun to watch.
I also had Bryant Wesco Jr. from Clemson, another receiver on my list. So a good receiver league. Yannick Smith, could he be a name to watch for SMU as well? So I noticed he wasn't listed as a starter for Phil Steele, but I've heard good things out of SMU's camp with Yannick, former ECU Pirate. Most exciting non-quarterback, so defensive player. This time I'm going to go defensive lineman Clev Rubin from Louisville. Really physical NFL-type body. Had a bunch of sacks last year, can play interior, can slide out to play some outside as well. Really good player. What about you?
I have Ahmed Moten Sr., defensive tackle from Miami. This is a guy who's 6'3", over 300 pounds. He's a big body. He's tough to move in the run game, but he's very quick for his size. He's very flexible in the hips. He's a projected day 1 pick for next season. This is a guy who can rush the passer from the interior side. Kind of reminds you a little bit of a poor man's Aaron Donald, if you would. So it's been interesting to see what he can do this year.
Another defensive name, Will Helt from Clemson, had a bunch of sacks last year. They're edge player, so one of many good players for Clemson's defense. I tell you what, let's get a break in, Philip. We'll come back. We'll do game we're looking forward to most, bounce back team, dark horse, and champion of the ACC. We'll wrap up the show with that on the way. This is Hoist the Colors.
The power of savings is yours at Greenville Toyota with powerful deals on our huge selection of new Toyotas, like a Camry, $229 a month, or the all-new RAV4, $279. Don't miss the power of savings at Greenville Toyota.
Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium rocking it. There's nothing like game days in Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium. Football is special here, and that's because of you. It takes all of us to have success. The 2026 season is right around the corner. Season tickets start as low as $75. Get yours today.
Your future is full of possibilities, and Pitt Community College can help you explore every option. You can earn a degree, learn a trade, transfer to a university, or launch a new career. We offer the support you need to succeed with flexible schedules, affordable tuition, and programs designed for the real world. Your path, your future, your college. Pitt Community College. Register now.
Need cash for a vacation? National Finance Company is here to help. For over 50 years, National Finance Company has been the small loan specialist with loans from $1,000 to $5,000 with low payments to meet your budget. We're in the business of getting you the cash you need today. Apply online for a loan at one of our convenient branch offices and get your money as fast as today. It's easy. Get the vacation cash you need. For extra cash, visit nfcmoney.com.
Visit Larry's Steakhouse for a tender, hand-cut, certified Angus ribeye. Other entrees include perfectly seasoned pork chops, chicken, or seafood favorites like shrimp, tuna, and salmon. Complement your meal with Larry's fresh 20-plus item salad bar, or enjoy it as an all-you-can-eat entree. Daily rotating favorites include meatloaf, chicken pastry, hamburger steak, spaghetti, pork chops, and more, all complemented with your favorite country sides. Whether it's for lunch, dinner, or our Sunday brunch, remember to support and eat local. Larry's Steakhouse.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
With new Toyota trucks from $259 a month, you've got the power of savings at Greenville Toyota. Drive Tacoma's $259 a month or Tundra's only $399 a month at Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves you money.
Loyal and bold, we're the purple and golds.
Yo, ho, ho!
And we're back to Voice the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, wrapping up this Monday with our continuation of the ACC Conference Preview. We're running through all 10 previews for the FBS leagues. We did the American Friday. We're continuing the ACC today. Let's dive right back in. Philip Pilkington alongside, so we got plenty of time here. Game we're looking forward to most. I've got two on my list. I've got Miami at Clemson on October 3rd. Is Clemson done for good? This will be a game that tells me, can they actually contend for the ACC once again? I'm not a believer, but I will be watching this game. This is an ECU bye week to see if Clemson can maybe make things interesting. What do you got?
Yeah, no, it will be. That was definitely the one I originally considered. But then I thought about James Franklin again. Is it Penn State or is it James Franklin? They go to Clemson on October 24th, so that's what I have as mine.
I also have SMU at Louisville, September 19th. Early season game between two teams that I consider for the ACC championship game. This will play a role in who I pick for the ACC title game. All right, last place team. You know what? I had Stanford written down.
Yeah, I did too.
But I'm changing it. I'm all in on the Cardinal. Boston College is going to come in last. Bill O'Brien's going to get fired. Stanford will not finish last.
All righty. I got Stanford.
Bounce back team, a team that missed a bowl in 2025 but will make one in 2026. I mean, the easy choice here is VT, right?
Florida State.
Florida State.
Yeah, they were 5-7. They're going to bounce back. They got like 3 first-place votes, too.
You know what I almost did? I almost had Florida State finishing last.
Wow.
I know we're short on time here, but let me just read the schedule to you real quick.
Okay.
Because
to be fair, I forgot to do this one. Then you got in and said it, and I just went through and found a team that went 5-7 and picked them.
If it goes off the rails, it could really go off the rails. All right, New Mexico State, they open with that. Should be a win. SMU on a Monday night at Alabama. Central Arkansas should be a win. Virginia at home, you would think would be a win, but Virginia beat them last year. At Louisville, at Miami, Clemson, at Boston College in November. Upset alert. At Pittsburgh, NC State at home, Florida.
How the heck is an upset alert if Boston College is going to finish last? If Boston College wins that game, they don't finish last.
That would be their one win.
Okay.
And any Florida team traveling to BC in November, it's not a good recipe. So, all right. Either way, I mean they have probably the widest range of outcomes in the ACC given the what's at stake there. All right, dark horse title contender. I think my bounce back team, by the way, VT, also had Syracuse listed. Dark horse title contender.
I'm going to go with the Virginia Tech Nittany Lions because this is a Big Ten roster that was supposed to be good in the Big Ten last year.
NC State. NC State for me, CJ Bailey, one of the few veteran quarterbacks in the league, and they have an extremely favorable schedule as I try and flip through to find it. Opening at Virginia or against Virginia will be interesting. But in league play, they get Louisville, Wake Forest at home, Duke at home, Cal at home, Syracuse at home. They get 5 ACC conference games. They do have to finish at Florida State, at Carolina, but they can beat both those teams. They don't play Clemson. They don't play Miami. Louisville on October 3rd may be their biggest game. This is Dave Doran's year. The problem is he can never get it done.
Yeah,
so
they'll go 8-4.
Yeah. All right, conference. Did you pick yours?
Yeah, I took the Virginia Tech Nittany
That's right.
Lions.
Conference title game. Who you got and who you got winning it?
I got the U over Louisville.
I have Louisville, Miami as well. I have Louisville beating SMU in that September 19th game, and I have Miami winning the championship. Will Miami lose a game? Bonus question here. Their schedule real quick: at Stanford, Florida A&M, at Wake, Central Michigan, at Clemson, bye week, Florida State, Pittsburgh, at UNC, at Notre Dame, Duke, Virginia Tech, Boston College.
They lose in South Bend.
And I feel like that's Notre Dame. We're not doing Notre Dame today, but Notre Dame and Miami both have cake schedules. And, that's the only game that either one could be a dog in.
Yeah. Unless they have, a trap game against Florida State. They come off a bye. Maybe they're a little lackadaisical. The game's in Tallahassee, big rivalry game. I don't know. I'm just trying to just spitball one out of thin air here.
So there's your ACC preview. Joel in the chat says, important pending 10th Circuit decision is only regarding the temporary emergency injunction. He says the full appeal on the merits is scheduled for November, I think. It's not over after this week. I've been told the NCAA will likely drop it if they lose the 10th Circuit appeal. But again, if they wanted to extend it through November, I guess they could, theoretically, but I've been told they'll move on. So the confusion over the situation will cease to exist. But we'll find out at least somewhat of a resolution, hopefully, in the coming days. All right, there's your ACC preview. What we'll do is we'll flip back and forth between P4, G6, so we'll hit another G6 conference in our next preview. Tomorrow we've got Jim Zoki, ECU football play-by-play voice. He will join us live. Looking forward to catching up with Jim to preview the upcoming season, maybe talk some Panthers as well. So we'll do that. Also got James Gilio set for Wednesday, his return. So exciting week ahead. We'll continue with ECU football. We'll be out of practice tomorrow, so we'll have a report on that as well. We'll see you on Tuesday at 12 noon.